I would give this probably a 9 out of 10. I've been to many home gyms and I've used different racks and I really enjoy this one. If you guys have specific questions about the rack itself, feel free to post them down below. What's up guys? So today I'm going to be reviewing the Jacked Up Power Rack Pro. This is something that I've had for a couple months now. Obviously this is it behind me. I'm gonna do a whole review of my home gym pretty soon as well. But I wanted to specifically review the rack here. I've had a few people ask about it. I've had some videos on my Instagram about it. And so we're gonna go into all of the details. I came across many different brands and I have friends who have different ones. And originally I was just thinking maybe just a basic set of cables and whatnot. And as I started to look into many different ones, I saw how comprehensive they could be, and I figured this might be an option where actually I have now since canceled my gym membership with the amount I can do with this and a few other things here. So we're gonna go into all the details, but this is the Power Rack Pro. This is supposed to be the premium model they have. So basically went on, looked at the different variations that they have, chose this one for me. This is again kind of the premium one. They do have another one that's similarly priced and then a few lower tier options as well. But I'm gonna go into what I do and don't like about it. Overall, I've been very happy with this over these last few months. And really, I'm gonna go from the process of buying it to today. So ordering was very simple, very straightforward. I chose to have it delivered here and assembled. If you have a lot of time on your hands or you've done something like this before, I'm sure you can assemble it yourself just fine. I did not want to deal with that personally. I was very, very glad to have somebody come here and deliver it. I also had somebody help bring it into the basement. Again, if you're busy, and many people who the reason they get a home gym is because they're busy, might be something that's worth getting some help rather than doing it yourself. So obviously you've got the two basic cable stacks here that so far has been very smooth. That's one of the things I've heard with certain manufacturers maybe are not the smoothest. This has been very smooth so far. Feels like I'm in a gym. That has been great. But again, one of the reasons that I chose this was how many different options they have. I wanted one with a Smith machine. So I'll just show you here. The Smith machine is very smooth. I have not actually done that much with it up to this point, simply because what my current routine does not involve a Smith machine variation, but I've done a little bit of Smith machine benching and incline benching with it. It's been very smooth and I've liked it so far. I'm not sure if you can see at the base, but they have something you can put a barbell in for T-bar rows. They've got a T-bar row attachment. That is one of the other good things. They have a ton of different attachments that come with it. Obviously the standard cable handles. They have the rope that came with it. They have standard attachment here. They've got a close grip row attachment. You'll see some of my other things here, my own dip belt and pull-up belt, a neck harness, weight belt. Some of that is mine, but a lot of that came with it. It also comes with a dip station. I don't currently do dips, but it does come with that as well, and a standard safety guard for people who are squatting or doing anything else that they might need that. I also chose to buy the belt squat attachment, so that is what you'll see here. This took me about half an hour to build and assemble and put together. You'll see this is where the belt squat goes into. This has been very smooth as well. Very easily place the plates on the side, and you will see two platforms here, one for each side for you to stand on. I have personally chosen to just leave that in the middle because again, I am not doing any Smith machine variations right now, so it's been fine to keep it there. If I'm doing, let's say cable lateral, I'm just kind of standing over it. Mildly annoying, but less annoying than if I had to take it in and out every time. I actually timed it, and for me to put all of the belt squat stuff on takes about 3 to 4 minutes. For me to take it off takes about 1 to 2 minutes. It's really not that much of a hassle. It's just right now I don't have a need to deassemble it. But you have to consider if you're doing a home gym, there's obviously going to be pros and cons. Yes, you cannot necessarily just jump onto anything right away. Some things take a little bit of assembly. However, compare that to driving to a gym, waiting on a machine, etc. The same goes with the lat pull down attachment. So the lat pull down attachment, I'm very glad I got this as well. This seat hooks on here, and then a pull down attachment hooks on there. That total takes me 1 to 2 minutes, I would say, to set up and 1 to 2 minutes to take down. Very easily done. Pleasantly surprised with that. It has been very smooth. And that has allowed me to do some 2-arm variations. So I bring that up, and that's probably a good transition to a few of the things that I have not loved about it. There's only a few, but it is worth mentioning. So one is that the cable stack is a 2-to-1 ratio. Now, I don't design machines, so maybe there's something I'm missing, but they do have another rack that has a 1-to-1 ratio. So what does that mean? That means that if I select 200 pounds on here, I'm really pulling 100 pounds. Whereas one of their machines, if you select 200, it would pull 200. Now you could say, well, then why didn't you get that rack? My opinion generally is that you should have tiers of something. So this one is slightly better than this one and more comprehensive than this one. And it seems like their one rack, that is the one better feature that it has, is that it has that 1-to-1 ratio, but in other ways it was not as good. So when I looked at the whole picture, this one seemed best and had more things that it came with and that was compatible with it. And so I am very happy with this choice. I just don't know why they wouldn't make this with the option to go 1-to-1. Again, maybe I'm missing something, but if you have another rack that does do 1-to-1, I would think you would just include that here. The reason it's a problem is if you are even reasonably strong, it is very difficult to do any 2-arm back exercises with this. So today I just did 1-arm rows. The rack goes up to 198 pounds on there, which again would be actually half of that. And I was doing basically the whole rack for sets of 5 to 10, depending on how many sets I'm doing. So to use 2 arms, it's basically a warm-up. Now, one way you can get around that is with the weight extender pin that comes with it. So with this, I can add weight. However, one thing I did have to do, and I actually got this idea from somebody else, was to take off one of the sides. This is basically the barrier that goes on the side. These sides have a barrier to it. So I left it off one of the sides so that I could actually get a second weight extender pin and even it out. I did not want to have 2 45s, for example, on just one side. This way I can put a 45 on both sides. And I have actually done it with a 45, a 35, and a 25 on each side. And it was still actually surprisingly smooth. I did not think it would be smooth, but it was, and that's been great. So I can do pull downs now, and I can do a seated cable row. I'm not sure if you can see the foot padding down there, but you can sit there and do a seated cable row as well, which is great. I also just line one of my benches up there, and I'll do a low angle row or a high angle row. It's been great for that as well. There is an attachment that I did not even bother ordering, and that is the leg press attachment. You've probably seen this occasionally in gyms where somebody puts an attachment on the Smith machine, lies on their back, and basically does a leg press. To me, that just seems very ridiculous if you are using even remotely heavy weights. Not a flaw with the rack itself. I just don't think that a home rack is amenable to doing that. I have seen some people use light weights to do that. Again, if you were even remotely strong, I don't think it would be safe. I don't think it would be a good option. I don't think it would be very stimulative for thigh development compared to other options. It's just not something that I would recommend. 2 small criticisms here. One, most of the handles that come with it on their own attachments are a little thick, makes it a little hard to get in it. Not really a big deal. And they only provide 1 ankle attachment. To me, it just makes sense to include 2, but you can buy these on Amazon for $10. Last small criticism for me is that when you're putting the weights on in the back, they all stick backwards. I would rather have them come to the sides just personally so I can get the rack closer to the wall. That's just an individual preference. I'm sure other people would prefer it going back like that. Probably depends on where you're setting up in your home. Very small thing. And one of their racks actually does that. Again, just a personal preference. So I'd hardly say it's a criticism of the rack. I'm just giving a full overview of what everything has been so far from me. I've seen on some reviews of different equipment, people saying to show all the different exercises. I think that would be a little excessive. You can imagine all of the different variations that you could do with having 2 cable setups there. You can do almost anything that you would want at this point with this gym. You can set up a bench. I don't have essentially the squat rack set up. I don't have the pins set up to do that. But of course you could do squats, you could do deadlifts here in front of it. It does not come with a barbell, but if you're going to buy a barbell, of course you can use it for squats or anything else you would do there. You have the Smith machine and all of the variations that you could do with the Smith machine. Again, it's very smooth. The cables have been great. The belt squat has been great. I really wish there was that 1-to-1 option with the weights. You could probably even do the belt squats without plates and just use the cables if it was 1-to-1. It's 198 pounds per side. So you're talking about almost 400 pounds. If you could hook that up, you probably wouldn't even need to add the plates. But again, the belt squat really has been great. I'm very glad I bought that. The lat pull down has been really great. I'm glad I bought that. And so far, it still feels new to me. I've had this for 3 or 4 months. There's a million different exercises I have not done with it yet, but my workouts have been great. It's been very, very nice not to have to necessarily drive to the gym and deal with traffic. And again, I'll show you guys my whole gym at some point and you can see the setup, but I would give this probably a 9 out of 10. I'm going to be going to a friend's house soon who has a different setup to compare, but I've been to many home gyms and I've used different racks and I really enjoy this one. So I do appreciate the company giving me a little bit of a discount on it. I'm happy to do this review for it. If you guys have specific questions about the rack itself, feel free to post them down below. If there's something else you'd like to see me review, let me know and I can try to give my feedback. But that is essentially the full rack here. Last thing I'll mention is, of course, the different pull-up variation handles here. Again, pronated, supinated, neutral, that's all great. Kind of makes you want to do a lot of different variations because they're available, and that's been awesome too. Last thing I will say that I almost forgot to mention is this rack is very tall. I think it's 92 inches. We can throw in the actual stats on here, but I'm 6'1". I have a 6'4" arm span. There aren't many racks that I can use where I can just truly hang from it. And this one I can, so I very much enjoyed that I can actually just do pull-ups from there. Currently pull-ups aren't in the routine, but when I got this it was, and so I got to try out a number of different variations and I really like that. So again, at least this far, 3-4 months into having the rack, something like that, it's been great. I do like it. Obviously there's plenty of other good racks out there, but this is the one that I've had the most experience with and I have enjoyed it. So again, if you have questions about it, let me know. I'm happy to send you any details. I'll have an affiliate link down below for anybody who might be interested in any of their products. But again, it's really whatever you want to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed and I'll see you next time.